the wonderful Eric de Neef, VP and Global Chief Commercial Officer over at Radisson. Eric, many thanks for joining us again.
Thank you, man. So on this one, I try to summarize what we have defined as top seller and what we have trained our people. We have embedded this in all the training and coaching sessions. These are the 5 key skill sets of the top seller that we have defined, and we have worked, as I said, on the curriculum on the level of training, and also on the coaching for the first line managers. Is so focus on digital research. The second one is develop the social media know-how, master the analytical expertise, build trust, and be relevant and adaptive. So really, what we have tried to do in the last 2 years in the curriculum is to say, how can you leverage digitalization going forward to enhance the skill set of our salespeople and to increase the revenue efficiency of the revenue generation. So if we go on the first one, on the focus on digital research, is something that we have covered already, is in fact the customer intelligence. And this phase of the work is the preparation work, as we have said. It happens prior to any guest interaction. We ask our seller to know the industry of the corporate. We ask them to learn about the consumer, the company, the buyer. We ask them really to be prepared. You have access to all this data through online, through the different platforms we have, in order that before entering into a negotiation or discussion with your customer, you know precisely the industry is working on and the situation of the company. On the second one is the knowledge of the social media platform. What something for the sales team was maybe something odd because it was much more a marketing responsibility. But engaging with your consumer or your customer through the LinkedIn business account and platform, the Twitter account, helps you to understand what is really important for this company, the items and the issues they are facing, and what they are driving the company. And this is critical in order also to increase your knowledge of your consumer, of our customer, in order to be at the end of the sales journey very relevant and personalized. Then we're gonna come to the mastering the analytical experience. And this is what we discussed also in the last days, is in fact, we have developed an integrated IT platform, and for the SAP colleagues in the room, it will please them because it's an SAP solution that we have customized for Radisson. And it's an IT platform, it's a vertical integration of PMS, like the property management system, so the system you have at the hotel level, the reservation system, and then going into your content management system and your customer relationship management, CRM. So it's a vertical integration, and we have a 360 view of our customer. It's very, very important. And so you have on this platform, and everybody on the RevGen has access to this platform, you have the account profile, you have all the tracking of the interaction with your customer, being on sales or being social. And then you have also the revenue generated by the customer. You have it by property, by country, by region. You have it by day of the week. You have it by rate, so you can slice and dice the way you want. And it enables the seller to understand the situation of the customer versus what has been agreed in the contract, and to come up with tailor-made solution, if any needed, and to get back to the customer. And this is critical. This platform is an access for the all RevGen teams, and everybody has the same single source of truth to understand the situation of each and individual customer. And then, of course, you have the fourth layer. This is the next slide, where in fact you come into the mindset of our seller, and the top seller is really to become the trusted advisor. What we insist a lot in training and coaching on a daily basis is that it's about selling a solution, not selling a brand or a property. And we need to be much more, I would say, consultative and less transactional. Transaction is a result of your consultative approach. And so it's critical that we understand what the customer wants, and we have covered this. Because somehow we are selling sleep in the hotel industry. We are selling sleep. It's about the bed, it's about the shower, it's about the breakfast. That's what for 90% of our customers are using in a property. But this is nothing. It's not what you sell, because that's what everybody is expecting when engaging with Radisson or one of the majors. As I said, today the safety protocols is key in the mindset of our corporation. Duty of care is #1 priority today in all the companies. So what we are doing is to sell these safety protocols. What are we putting in place in every properties in order to ensure the safety of your customer? And this is again the same. You don't sell your bed, you don't sell your shop, you sell a solution. This is where really we push our team to be much more into this approach of consultative interaction than being a pure transactional approach. So certainly in the service industry. And then the last slide, the next one, will cover in fact the customization and the relevancy. Because once you have a clear view on the company's current position, on the company's potential, on the needs, then the sales process can start. And to help them, and again, this is where we have used the digitalization to help the efficiency of the sales team. We have created, for example, what we call the sales presenter. It's a cloud-based software where, in fact, you have all the information. It's an online repository where you have all the information of Radisson. You have all the corporate presentation. You have all the brand presentation. You have the 1,200 hotels information plus all the visuals, and it allows you, it enables you as a seller to customize your presentation to the needs of your customer. As a seller, I just need to issue the text I want to edit, to upload the image I want to show, and the sales tools is preparing the whole presentation for me with slides on brand. So it's amazing. We started in 2016 with this solution. It's really in full power since 2018-19. And for a presentation of 50 slides, you need 10 minutes to do it, because you know precisely what you need. And this is type of benefit and added value of the digitalization. On the IT platform that we built, the same, it has been developed with an API integration in mind, because you have more and more companies today that wants to have their self-booking tool. They don't want to book through third-party website or distribution channel. So you need to be able to answer this and to have a direct connectivity in between the company and Radisson. And this is going through an API, and in 4 weeks time, you are able to connect both companies. Again, this is the solution that I was talking about. It's not about selling bed, it's about answering the needs of your customer. And this is multiple, and this is why being very close to the customer, understanding what they are looking for, help us to drive the business and to be better than the competition. That's why also what Christophe mentioned earlier, in one of the KPIs, the biggest and the most critical one we have in Radisson is the market share. We want to be always above hundreds, meaning that you are overperforming your competition. This is our guiding principle when it comes to business generation. So that's more or less the summary of the 5 key qualities and skill set of the top seller that we are really embedding in all our training and coaching approach and sessions that we organize. That's for the top seller. And then I prepare, if you go on the next slide, I prepare what we think on the Radisson side, the best-in-class RevGen leadership, or what are the 5 big 5 or key 5 skill sets for all sales leaders. When we go on the next slide, you're going to see that we have somehow we cover this already in the last days. Living the values is for us critical because we define values, but we see that the most critical point of it is really how the management is living these values. Your teams are focused on as much on the how than the what, and this is critical. This is the company culture, is the credibility of the management. The second one is caring, and I think that Larry covered it very well yesterday. Caring very close to your people, very close to your customer. Certainly now in this forced remote environment where we are in, it's really to find the right approach to be close to your people. We discussed yesterday with Tom yesterday night about the virtual coffee that I've organized with my direct reports. My direct reports are doing this also with their direct reports. It's a 15 minutes virtual coffee, what replaced the coffee machine instant that we had when we were physically all together. It's really a 15 minutes one-to-one, no business value, I would say so, no business discussion. It's about just you and me. Or do you feel the kids, the dogs, really to be very, very close to them? And once a week, we do a 30 minutes virtual coffee with the team, just to give this sense of belonging, that we are not alone in this pandemic and in this forced environment. Empower the team. Clearly, it's a critical one. Defining the right organization, defining the vision, defining the compensation model. It's all the company responsibility. But then we ask our leaders to leave, in fact, of to bring to the sales team and to the team, the RevGen team as a whole, the autonomy, the freedom to act in the framework, to create, to be creative, to innovate, to challenge what we are doing in order to push and to deliver extra added value. So the empowerment is critical because we know that's not the top down that we make it. You need to have, of course, the framework, but from a bottom up approach, you deliver so much more from a core responsibility and from ideas that's coming from the field. And this is a one that we are really pushing out in the coaching sessions with our leaders. Then you have training, coaching, and development. Of course, this is more or less what Rainer covered on the Monday, from the VUCA world to the VUCA prime, is to reassure our leaders and our teams in this quite odd situation we are in. So we need to coach them a lot. Training is one thing. This is your expertise. Coaching is really your first employee, and coaching is the responsibility of the manager. It's not the responsibility of HR. That's the training part of it. The coaching is really the manager. So this we invest a lot of time on this, and then the development. that we try to structure, and this is, to be honest with you, where we struggle a lot within Radisson and within the travel industry as a whole. When talking to my peers, is that we are working a lot with Gen Y and Gen Z population, and the recovery of the travel industry. As I said, if you listen to the big gurus in this space, we're talking about 24, 25, so it's another 3 years to go. And for this generation, it's a lifetime, so they don't want to wait. So we need to work on an adding value to them, to create this multi-expertise, to develop them in order to retain them. But that's where we are facing a lot of issues. We see people leaving. This is the reality. So this is really where we are now with the leaders on the coaching side, with HR on the training side, to see how do we tackle in order to retain this talent, because otherwise you have a double dip. First, you have talents leaving you, and you know that within 2-3 years you will need to recruit new one that you will need to train, to develop, to coach. So it costs you to us. And the last one on the list, if you come back to the slide, is the multi-expertise development. As we said, we try for each of the leader, being the leader of revenue management or leader on the sales or leader on the marketing side, is to build this multi-expertise across all, to have the 180 vision and view on the RevGen levers. So that's why we have, and I said earlier, we have created one organization covering all the RevGen functions. We have created one platform, a single source of truth, and then we have created one common incentive that we ensure that the people are looking all in the same direction and are fighting for the same cause and for the same revenue. So these are the keys to success that we are embedding in our training and coaching sessions with all our leaders at all levels, being at the regional level or being at the center level. That's what I wanted to share with you, Ben. Thank you.
Really interesting ideas shared there. Some great validation of many of the topics and the themes that we have been discussing over the past couple of days. I just want to return quickly to the skills portion of that presentation. And in particular, I'm fascinated by this idea of data skills, and data being a core component going forward. Do we actually need better data skills within the revenue generation function, or actually do we just need better tooling that is able to serve us up the insights that we need? What's your focus on that? Is this the challenge around skills, or is it around tools?
It's about data relevancy, to be honest with you, because data, we are overloaded with data. It's too much. I said always to the team, it's a car crash. You have so many data that at the end of the day nobody is looking at. So you need to come up with data that you can use as management tool that is relevant to the business. And this is where we invest a lot of time. It's less tools than the relevancy of the data, and then afterwards is really to drive the whole RevGen organization to use this data. And that's why the platform is critical on this, because at least you have one single source of truth. And if the data is not correct into the platform, what could be the case, and what we have had as many times, we need to adapt it, and we need to bring it at the right level. And this is where you push more or less the credibility of the platform, but the relevancy of the data is critical.
Okay, brilliant. I guess just to play devil's advocate to my own original question, the platform is absolutely key, clearly, to this, but that cultural element as well. How are you inculcating a culture of valuing the data that you have in the organisation within the RevGen organisation? How are you getting people, your salespeople, your marketing people, to really value data? Because I know that a lot of salespeople struggle with this. They don't like the data entry portion. They see it as a as onerous or as a task that, a box that needs to be ticked. They're often proprietorial about the data that they have on prospects or clients, and they don't want to give that into a central repository. So how do you change the culture around the way you view data?
We have resized the organization and we have created new jobs. And if I look at the pure seller, what we called in the past the seller on the road, we decreased more or less with 40% the number of sellers we have. But we have more or less recreated the same amount of jobs in sales operations, in data analytics and BI, in order to ensure this. Because I prefer that the seller is really the top one and the one engaging with your customer, having this skill set, is not losing time in pulling data. This is not his job. His job is at one point to understand the data and to engage with your customer and to be customized and personalized in the approach. And we have created BI and data analytics and sales operations in order to feature this data and feature this platform. So it's a different type of skill set that are complementary to each other, but we don't ask all the sales people to do the same as the BI guys. So we have clearly defined role and responsibilities differently than it was in the past, thanks to the digitalization.
Yeah, really interesting. Many thanks, Eric. And is this a way of tackling that challenge I mentioned earlier on, right at the outset of the day, which is this idea that perhaps up to as many as 3/4 of your salespeople are not as effective as they could be? Actually, is it about skilling those people up to perform new roles in this new world that perhaps touch on the data analysis part of it, the sales operations role? Is it about rethinking your resources?
I think it is. It is rethinking the resources and having clear responsibilities at each level. So in the training of the salespeople, we don't train them to put the data. We train them to understand the data and to read the data. And this is where I think that is the biggest difference that we have in the past, where we ask the seller to do a little bit everything together at the same time. Now we are specializing them differently. So and I'm still convinced that we can increase the efficiency of our salespeople. Still, when I was looking at the 17%, the 7 and the 10% that we discussed, 9 and 16 that we discussed this morning. I hope we are not there. We didn't drive this analysis on our side. That was a takeaway for me this morning. I will try to work on this, is to see the efficiency of our sales team. But it's clearly when you define clearly the role of each and the remit of each of the functions into the Revgen organization, you gain in efficiency. That's an obvious one.
Yeah, but as I mentioned earlier on, big opportunities there. If that number could only get better, right?
Yeah, totally. It's a big way. We are above to start, I would say.
Yeah, great stuff. Eric, you've been wonderful the last couple of days, chiming in on questions. Listening to every session. What for you have been the clearest takeaways from the last couple of days? What are you really going to go back to your teams and what knowledge are you going to impart?
I think that first, my takeaway is that we are all more or less struggling with the same issues and the same faults. And we are here today with so many different industries. We have product industries, service industries, travel industries. So it's totally different. But you see, at the end of the day, we are in the same boat and the same approach. So that's for me this feeling to say we are not alone and we are struggling in the same approach, if I may say so. Where I will get back to the teams is really to even enforce and enhance even more this cooperation, because I've been convinced today when listening to different speakers and to the colleagues in different questions, that this alignment on in between the functions is critical, and we need to get rid of the silo if we want to be successful. And even though we have created platforms, and as what I mentioned to Christophe and the team yesterday in the last workshop, we have created a mirror organization at the regional level versus the corporate level, and then you have the kingdoms appearing, because at one point China is not behaving the same way than it is in Middle East, and that's the same in the Americas. So, but that's not a reason to stop developing this, but it's around coaching and management that we need to come. So we don't have one size fitting all, but I think that the alignment of all the teams is critical. And what's nice to see is that in the digitalization world, the people value is even more important than it was in the past. It's a people business at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if there's been one thing that has emerged crystal clear from the group the last couple of days, it is that nothing should be off the table in terms of reimagining what is possible moving forward, because we've seen so much change. There is still so much change to come, that actually this idea of continuous learning, continuous refreshing your techniques and the way you approach things is going to be critical.
Totally. I'm totally aligned with this.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Eric, thanks so much for sharing your thoughts here today. It's been a real pleasure speaking to you, not just today, but over the last couple of days. Best of luck with the rest of 2021, and we hope to see you back here at the next event next year.
Thanks so much. Thank you, man. Thank you, man. Thanks so much.
Take care, Eric.